In this edition of Speak Out and Play, I will present my annual replay of the Attack of the Mutants game as a radio play. In Warfighter Corner, I will talk about all things zombies and go over the retirement of Warfighter Fantasy. I will discuss DVG's latest Kickstarter, Field Commander Patton, as part of In the Works, and the coming attractions for November 2025, all on Speak Out and Play. Hello and welcome to the October 2025 edition of Speak Out and Play, a monthly podcast that is part of the Seek Out and Play YouTube channel. Thank you for being here. We have finally left summer, entered false fall, returned to summer for a while, and one day we will enter real fall, I hope. And this month being the scariest of all months, well, in a metaphysical sense at least, it is only appropriate that I take this opportunity to do something a little different for the podcast. In celebrating the Halloween spirit, and not just because I was too lazy to create a video version of my annual replay, I present to you a radio play of my annual playthrough of Attack of the Mutants, a long out-of-print game by Yaquinto. Attack of the Mutants is set on an alternate Earth where the entire population, save for a few brave souls that are hiding in a science building, have been turned into ravenous mutants. The humans have 10 turns to resist the mutant attack and escape through a dimensional doorway. The game is simple and quite challenging. I set up the humans inside the building first, then use a random setup system to place the mutants on the outside. The system randomly determines if most of the mutants come in through 1, 2, 3, or all 4 sides. In this game, the mutants were set up equally on all 4 sides. I now take you to an alternate world very much like our own. Well, back in 1993 at least. This is the 7th annual Attack of the Mutants playthrough presented in radio form.
The Ministry of Public Health has reported an outbreak of an unknown disease.
Confidence remains high that the pathogen can be contained.
The streets of the capital are being overrun by those who have been mutated by a deadly disease, which is spreading around the world.
In a last-ditch effort to stop the crisis, nuclear weapons have been used against the affected population.
It has become apparent that the nuclear bombs has only made things worse.
This will be the last broadcast. To the few remaining who have not been mutated, save yourselves.
Known as the Big Meltdown of 1993, the Earth in this universe is now completely overrun with humans who have been mutated by an unknown disease and irradiated by nuclear explosions. Only a handful of unaffected people are left. Located in the science building of Central State Tech, a small group of ROTC cadets, along with their robotic Janabots, stand guard over humanity's last hope. Professor Applewhite and his daughter Penny have created the Dynamic Ultimate Placement device, a doorway to another dimension where they can escape the mutant horde. Professor Applewhite and his daughter are in the tech room. They have completed the final work and have started the countdown which activates the device.
T-minus 10 to opening of dimensional doorway.
All they needed was a little more time when, suddenly...
Warning, warning. Mutants are approaching the building.
Inside the science building, the last remaining humans on Earth have built a defense to hold off the mutant invasion until they can escape through the dimensional doorway. The professor and Penny in the tech room, while Otis, Joey, Jeb, Percy, Mac, and Penny's boyfriend Buck have set up a defense in the rooms and corridors of the building. A series of barricades have blocked off the most direct access to the tech room, while other barricades protect important interior rooms. The Janabots, armed with deadly weapons, are scattered through the building. The weakest of them are set up near the 4 main entrances.
Warning, warning. The mutants have surrounded the building.
This is Professor Applewhite. It seems that the mutants are trying to break in from all sides at once. Be careful.
We are ready.
Indeed, the mutants do crash in from all 4 sides. However, in some areas they are being held up by doors and windows that are standing fast. The older Janabots are firing back as programmed. Let us hope they can take out as many mutants as possible before they go down. The mutants have crashed into 7 rooms occupied by the older, less capable Janabots. And while all 7 of the Janabots are destroyed, they take down 11 mutants, a most fortuitous result.
Okay, let's move out.
The humans move the Janabots to the rooms that surround the tech room. This is to combine their number in a single place while providing a reaction force to deal with the most prominent threat.
Sensors indicate some of the mutants are dying.
Yes, there are mutants who are exposed to high levels of radiation. They are starting to die, but there are more who are not exposed.
T-9 to opening of dimensional doorway.
Despite their best efforts, the mutants only advance into the 1st and 2nd guard rooms. This means it will take more time for them to get to the tech room, but the first real battle takes place between Mac, his 2 Janabots, against 3 mutants.
Mac and his Janabots have destroyed the mutants in guard room number 1.
That is a relief, but the danger is far from over. The humans, having bought some breathing room, now gather more Janabots around the core of the building. They avoid engaging the mutants and instead wait for more of them to submit to the radiation.
3 mutants have fallen. 1 in Exhibit Hall A, 2 more in the payroll office.
The mutants are starting to close into the center of the building, and while none of them enter a room with a Janabot or human, a huge number are forming up in guard room number 2 under the leader mutant that has been named Lucy.
T-7 to opening of dimensional doorway.
I don't believe it. The mutants have crashed through into the lab office and lecture room, but the doors in the guard room are holding, if they can hold for just a little bit longer. The lab office is one of the core rooms in the building, which is next to the tech room, but only 2 mutants have made it inside. Mac moves his Janabots into the lab office while the rest of the humans get ready. The mutants have been destroyed, and while more mutants pour into guard room number 1 and the computer room, a large number of them are stuck in guard room number 2, getting in each other's way and not crashing through the door. Joey takes 4 Janabots and leads them into the computer room, destroying all the mutants present. The rest of the humans prepare for the oncoming assault.
T-5 to opening of dimensional doorway.
The mutants in the guard room have finally broken out. They are in the South Annex corridor and heading this way. More mutants enter the lab office and computer room, but they are met by Mac, Jeb, and Joey with their Janabots, and they are soon destroyed. Although the defenses around the tech room are being pressed, the mutants are only reaching the core areas in small numbers. That makes it easier for the humans to react. Watch out! There are mutants entering room 203! And there are more mutants entering the lab office where Jeb and Mac await them. But it is the large number of mutants led by Lucy that enters room 303, which presents the most concern. Jeb and Mac with their Janabots easily dispatch the mutants in the lab office. The threat to the north side of the building is gone. Buck leaves behind a single Janabot in case more mutants enter from room 203. They all move to the storage room to prepare for the final confrontation, with a massive number of mutants heading that way.
T-4 to opening of dimensional doorway.
Get ready. The mutants are entering the storage room.
We hear them.
But it is a smaller number of mutants entering the laboratory from room 203 that concerns Joey. He is waiting there with 3 Janabots. Joey! Joey!
I'm alright. I stopped the mutants. But it cost all my Janabots.
As long as you're alive, that is what matters. Percy, Jeb, and Mac take their 9 Janabots and enter the storage room for the final confrontation. If they are successful, the mutant invasion will be stopped. They did it! They did it! Indeed, not only were all the mutants destroyed, but none of the humans were killed. Only 4 Janabots were wrecked in the final battle.
T-3 to opening of dimensional doorway.
Hurry! The doorway is about to open. A new world awaits for us all. With time to spare, all the remaining humans on planet Earth gathered in the tech room. The doorway to another dimension was opened, and as they passed through, they all wondered about the world they were entering, but they believed that it held more promise than the one that they were leaving behind. And that was a rare victory for the human side. In fact, the only time in all the many times that I have played Attack of the Mutants, I can recall not even losing a single human during the game. What I normally do is play the game repeatedly until I get a close, exciting game, or the humans win. In this case, the game I recorded occurred only the second time that I played it, and I wasn't going to top that, so that is how the game got scripted and turned into a radio play. Now, I won mostly because of dumb luck. Because the mutants entered all 4 sides simultaneously, that diluted their attack. The mutants came towards the tech room in dribs and drabs, so I was able to easily wipe them out. However, a killer stack of 10 mutants formed near one of the guard rooms. This normally spells lots of humans dying or just losing outright. But that killer stack repeatedly rolled badly during the door-smashing phase and got stuck long enough for me to gather enough humans and Janabots to destroy them. Now, since that will never, ever happen again, and I'm pretty sure of that, I can promise that the replay next year will be more exciting, or at least less lucky on my part. And keeping with the Halloween theme, let's venture into Warfighter Corner and discuss the Undead and Warfighter World War Z editions of the Phenomenal series from DVG. Last Wednesday, instead of publishing a video on rules sections of games not named Warfighter, I decided instead to release a Warfighter 29 video for zombies, in which I created 2 teams of Japanese and 2 teams of German zombies that you can use for your Pacific and European missions. The expansion of the Warfighter system is not limited to the core sets. Within the World War II core sets can be found the Korean War, which I've already completed a series of videos on, the expansions for that, and World War Z, which currently consists of 4 expansions. Number 42, which brings German and Japanese zombies, both soldiers and hostiles, the clergy, which includes their theologies and skills, and blessed weapons. There are also 3 battle packs, which begin with number 49, Castle Frankenstein, and number 51, the Cthulhu one, and number 59, Dagon, another Cthulhu one, which I have made videos for all 3. Now, from what I can gather, there are no plans to release new expansions in the series, or at least I've seen no indications that there's any new expansions being created for the World War Z era. But there is just enough right now, when you consider the first expansion, to create a World War Z world. That's because you can use the German or Japanese hostiles when playing the Europe or Pacific core sets for Warfighter. In fact, you can probably use the German ones for the North African and Mediterranean core sets as well. So, all those missions are wide open for you to take on the zombie menace instead of just standard soldiers. Of course, you can play the zombies as your team as well. I've yet to test out how a living player soldier, like one leading and manipulating the zombies to do their bidding, would work, but that's an interesting variation. But of course, you can always just stick with the zombies and just reconquer the world and make it into the living dead. I am making the Wednesday before the last Wednesday in October World War Z week for the foreseeable future, in part because World War Z of Warfighter doesn't get enough attention, at least in my opinion, but also it moves my annual Attack of the Mutants play to a radio play for the podcast where I think it belongs, since I think it works better in a pure audio format. So, switching gears away from World War Z, in addition to the Battle Pack Wave number 4, which hopefully will be released over the next month or two, I have purchased 7 older expansion packs from the Modern, Shadow War, and PMC eras. I will be doing unboxing videos of them along with my World War II, Vietnam, and Chittor packs, which will be released in the upcoming months. Another bit of news from DVG, Warfighter Fantasy and its expansions will be retiring. In other words, the game and its expansions will no longer be printed by DVG. Now, they're citing low sales as the reason, and the retirement also includes games such as Rorke's Drift, Alamo, Thermopylae, and Third Option. Now, I have not played any of those games so far except for Thermopylae, and I made a video about that, which you can find on my YouTube channel. So, putting those games aside, the retirement of Warfighter Fantasy and its expansions was something of a surprise to me, namely because Wave 4 of the Battle Packs for Warfighter, which should be arriving soon, as I said, includes some fantasy expansions. So I can only assume that this was a last attempt to see if there was a strong interest in Warfighter Fantasy, and it appears that that's not so. To briefly go over the long journey that Warfighter Fantasy has made from conception to release, it began around the time the first World War II core set was kickstarted several years ago. When Warfighter Fantasy was made into a Kickstarter in 2020, that happened to be the first Kickstarter video I had made for a DVG game. And this game had been playtested for years. After the Kickstarter was completed, DVG was almost ready to send it out, along with the expansions, when it discovered during final playtesting, at least from the stories I've read, that something was not right. The introduction of the expansions had exposed something in the system, and they tried to fix it, but after several months, they wound up just having to redesign the whole game. So it didn't come out for years, and when it did, the response was not exactly overwhelming, in part because the subject didn't appeal much to wargamers, and the game didn't really appeal much to fantasy role players either. At least they didn't find out about it. But also because, in my honest opinion, the rule book was rather difficult to understand. I had difficulty comprehending all of it, and I know that I wasn't the only one. And while there is a new version of the rule book done by somebody outside of DVG, which has helped make the game more understandable, at least in my opinion, it was seemingly too late to save the game itself from retirement. So, although I did have the Warfighter Fantasy core set, I had never purchased any of the expansions before until DVG came along and gave them, along with a few other retiring games that I had mentioned, a 50% discount, which ended on October 12th. So I bought all 12 expansions that normally sold for $300, and with that special discount combined with another discount that they were offering, I wound up paying just over $100 for all 12 expansions. And they will be getting unboxing videos as well, along with the other Warfighter expansions that I have mentioned. Anyway, what is not retiring is my section on what games I've purchased and what non-Warfighter videos are coming out on In the Works. So let's start with Field Commander Patton. It's always a treat to get to do a Kickstarter video for DVG, and this was no exception with the arrival of Field Commander Patton. What happens is that I get the image files along with a list of what they want in the video. I print everything up, shoot the video, and send it to them, and hopefully they like it. And so I don't have the completed rule book for Field Commander Patton, but I do get information about what the game is going to be. And from my understanding, Field Commander Patton has streamlined the supply rules, compared to its predecessors in the Field Commander series, but it also introduces a new fatigue rule, which means that you can press your units at the end of the turn to get another action out of them. But by doing so, the unit earns a fatigue counter. A die is rolled every turn that the unit is fatigued, and if the result equals or is less than the fatigue number, then it suffers a hit. An already reduced unit can be eliminated if it suffers another hit from being fatigued. Now, the game represents the latest in the Field Commander series, and the subject matter is certainly a fascinating one, as General Patton had quite the run during World War II. By the time you hear this podcast, the Kickstarter for Field Commander Patton will have ended successfully. So, DVG will no doubt put out more information about the game, which is scheduled to come out during the summer of 2026. So, let me switch gears a bit and tell you about the games that I purchased this month. Now, I went on a bit of a spree, which is dangerous, of course, but I did purchase several games, some of which are out of print, some of which I already own copies of, and a few I have never owned before. So I'll just start with the copies. Most notably, Swashbuckler from Yaquinto. I bought it because the copy I have is not really in great condition, and I'd like to do a few videos with it. So this new copy will work nicely. Actually, it looks pretty good. It's the old version of Swashbuckler. If you're familiar with Yaquinto games, they put out their games in album format. And so it's, if you remember the old record albums, that's what it looked like. Well, anyway, this has the very thin spine and not the 1-inch spine as some of the other games that I have, like Attack of the Mutants. Anyway, I made a video on Adventurer, which is the same system as Swashbuckler, only it's set in the future, or perhaps more accurately, Adventurer is set a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. But Swashbuckler is arguably the better and more appealing version of the system. In fact, in my opinion, it may be one of the best man-to-man games I've ever seen. The bar setting, the simple mechanics, and the written orders make Swashbuckler easy and a lot of fun to play. You can imagine yourself as a pirate swinging from the chandelier and fighting off the bad guys. In addition, I purchased another copy of Guerrilla and Rasslin, both from Avalon Hill. Now, I've already done a few videos on Guerrilla, and I don't really plan on doing any more, but I am going to review the system to see if there's something left for me to do. And since the price was under 10 smackers, I really had to snatch it up because it does have a card deck, and usually games with card decks I try to get multiple copies of. Now, Rasslin is a legendary game with my circle of friends, and I always look for another copy because it's simple, it's exciting, and it allows for 2 people up to however many you want to play to engage in some old-fashioned wrestling. Now, I've already made an overview and a video on the specialty matches, which will be seen next year on this game. Now, 2 more out-of-print Avalon Hill games that I've purchased, and these I've never owned before: Republic of Rome and Advanced Civilization, both of which I got pretty good deals on. Republic of Rome is a multiplayer game of trying to keep the Roman Empire afloat during its most turbulent period. It also has solitaire and 2-player rules, so no doubt I will be doing some videos on that. Now, Advanced Civilization is what I call a cult game, and my definition of a cult game is the same as a cult movie, which means it's a game that may not have mainstream appeal, but it does have a robust following. Because it plays best with a full complement of players, it's not really a game for everybody. However, I have seen clubs built around this game. Moving on, I also purchased Alamo and Rorke's Drift from DVG, which are being retired. And finally, I found a sale on the Decision Games deluxe reprint of Blue and Gray, so I took advantage of that as well. I've already made an overview and 2 rules videos, which will be released early next year. So that's quite a few games for me. I mean, my goodness, what have I been doing all year? Anyway, in terms of video production, October is my second busiest month of the year as I create videos that come out for the following year. If everything goes as planned, then I will have completed all the videos for the first 6 months of next year, and some that go beyond. But I won't bore you with those details. In fact, why not talk about what's the videos that are coming out for next month. The month of November will feature a variety of videos from Seek Out and Play, and you can see them in the coming attractions. For the first Wednesday of November 2025, Seek Out and Play presents Chess, Wargames, and Tempo, a personal essay that compares chess to wargaming and explains what tempo means and how it is executed in both wargames and chess. The personal essay is designed to inform and provide guidance in how to incorporate tempo into your gaming adventures. For the second Wednesday of November 2025, Seek Out and Play presents 2 videos for the Warfighter Week. The first is an explanation on the term present keyword in the Warfighter system. The video covers the basic keyword rules, including specific examples, and also includes optional rules for use with hostiles. The second video is an unboxing of the Warfighter Chittor Expansion No. 1, Sholo, Arizona. The video covers the player and team soldiers, along with the weapons, equipment, skills, missions, objectives, locations, and Chittor hostiles. For the third Wednesday of November 2025, Seek Out and Play presents the optional rules for drafting nations in Britannia. The video covers how nations can be drafted, the bidding process, the once per set rules, and hints on how drafting works along with potential issues for players. The optional rules for drafting nations can be found in the Britannia rulebook. Check out more videos when you subscribe to the Seek Out and Play YouTube channel. In addition, there is a monthly Speak Out and Play podcast, which you can find on Buzzsprout and Spotify. For just $2 per month, you can support the channel by becoming a Patreon member and see the videos and podcast 48 to 72 hours in advance. At least one new video is released every week on the Seek Out and Play YouTube channel, so I will see you next Wednesday. And that's it for the October 2025 edition of Speak Out and Play. Thank you for listening. The November 2025 edition of Speak Out and Play will have its audio-only premiere on November 24th on Buzzsprout and Spotify, while the video version will be available on November 26th on the Seek Out and Play YouTube channel. Speak Out and Play is a monthly podcast that focuses on wargaming and historic board gaming with a few additions depending on what's coming up during the production of the episode. If you have any questions, ideas, or suggestions that you want to see featured on Speak Out and Play, then please leave them in the comments section. At least one new video is released every week on the Seek Out and Play YouTube channel, so I will see you next Wednesday. And if you see Sally, bring her all the way home.